After a week-long business trip, I dragged myself home, ready to collapse. Instead, I found a drop-dead, gorgeous stranger sitting on my sofa, beaming at me as she chirped, "Hubby, you're back." I froze, turning to stone right there in the entryway. Me, Caleb Hayes, 26 years old, a chronic bachelor since birth. When exactly did I acquire a wife? And a wife who was, frankly, suspiciously beautiful. I'm just an average guy grinding away in New York City, freshly returned from a week of hellish corporate boot camp. As soon as the plane touched down, my only goal was to get home and fuse my spine to the couch cushions for eternity. Beep, the smart lock disengaged. The motion sensor lights flickered on in the hallway. I tossed my suitcase into the corner, didn't even bother kicking off my shoes, and threw myself face first toward the living room sofa, letting gravity do the rest. However, instead of the expected soft fabric, I landed on something warm, fragrant, and decidedly human. Eep! I jolted awake, scrambling back. Beneath me was a girl. She was wearing a cute strawberry print nightgown, her long hair cascading like a waterfall over the cushions. She stared up at me with wide, watery eyes, looking utterly shocked. Her face? It was like a character model from a high-budget video game that designers spent months perfecting. Porcelain skin, lips a natural shade of cherry, slightly parted in surprise. My brain short-circuited. Complete static. Who are you? Why are you in my apartment? I practically rolled off her, stumbling back 2 steps and eyeing her warily. A burglar? But what burglar breaks in, puts on pajamas, and chills on the sofa like they pay the rent? And more importantly, what burglar looks like a supermodel? The girl sat up, rubbing the shoulder I'd apparently crushed. Her lower lip trembled, and her eyes filled with a mix of grievance and playful scolding. Then, to my horror, she stood up, walked over on long, slender legs, stood on her tiptoes, and fixed my messy collar. Her movements were natural, intimate. I went stiff as a board. My brain CPU was frying. She smelled like gardenias, a soft, pleasant scent. As she leaned in, my heart rate spiked uncontrollably. This was wrong. This was very wrong. "Hubby, your trip must have been exhausting," she said, tilting her head back and flashing a smile sweet enough to induce diabetes. "Welcome home." Bye. My voice cracked, dry and raspy from shock. Me, Caleb Hayes, single for 26 years. I hadn't even held a girlfriend's hand properly, let alone found a wife. Did I work myself into a hallucination? I pinched my thigh hard. Ouch. The sharp pain confirmed this wasn't a dream. "Honey, what's wrong? You look pale." She looked concerned, reaching out to check my forehead. I recoiled like I'd been tossed. "Stop. Time out." I made it tea with my hands, trying to reboot my brain. "First, I don't know you. Second, I'm not your husband. Finally, please explain why you are in my house." Her smile froze. Those bright eyes immediately misted over, looking incredibly hurt. "Honey, do you not remember me?" Her voice trembled. "I'm Sophie. Sophie Vance, your wife. We got our license just last week." As if to prove it, she turned and grabbed a document from the coffee table, thrusting in front of me. I looked down. Certificate of marriage. The bold letters nearly blinded me. My hand shook as I took it and opened it. The photo was undeniably me, and the girl next to me was the same Sophie Vance standing right there. In the picture, I looked completely wasted, eyes unfocused, while she was beaming, leaning affectionately on my shoulder. Name, Caleb Hayes. Name, Sophie Vance. The issue date was exactly the day before my business trip. I was dumbstruck. My memory had a massive gap. I only remembered the company dinner the night before my trip. The guys had peer-pressured me into drinking way too much tequila, and everything after that was a blackout. Did I get blackout drunk and marry a random stranger? This was insane. "Honey." Sophie tugged gently on my sleeve, her voice soft. "Are you still mad at me? Mad that I dragged you to the courthouse that day?" I looked at her innocent face, feeling a complex mess of emotions. Mad? I was terrified. What was this? A gift from the gods? No, a wife from the heavens. A strange, beautiful woman holding a legal marriage certificate in my house, calling me husband. Who wouldn't be confused? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. "Look, Miss Vance, right?" I tried to keep my tone polite. "There must be a misunderstanding. I was drunk. I don't remember anything. This marriage certificate. How about we go to the courthouse tomorrow and annul it? Or file for divorce?" The color drained from Sophie's face. The mist in her eyes condensed into heavy tears that began to fall drip, drip. You want to divorce me?" She looked at me in disbelief, her voice choking up. "Why? Just because you don't remember?" But I remember. I remember you holding my hand that night, saying it was love at first sight, saying you wouldn't marry anyone but me. She was crying as she spoke, tears falling like broken pearls. My head was pounding. I really said something that cheesy. I had zero recollection. I was terrified of women crying, especially beautiful ones. The moment she cried, I felt like a criminal. Hey, don't cry. I panicked, wanting to comfort her, but not knowing how. I didn't mean it like that. I just think this is too sudden. We don't know each other. Marriage isn't a game. But we're legally married now, Sophie sobbed, looking at me with tear-filled eyes. Caleb, you can't be so irresponsible. You brought up getting the license, and now you're the one asking for a divorce. What am I to you? I was speechless. She was right. It was black and white on the certificate. I couldn't weasel out of this. Seeing her cry like a tragic heroine, my resolve to divorce her started to crumble. Forget it. It's already done. And, honestly, picking up such a beautiful wife for free didn't seem like a bad deal. The thought scared me. Caleb Hayes, when did you become such an animal? Then we. I struggled for a while before finally spitting out. Let's try living together for a bit. Sophie's crying stopped instantly. She lifted her tear-stained, beautiful face, looking at me in disbelief. Really? You won't divorce me? I nodded with difficulty. The next second, she burst into a smile, threw herself into my arms, and hugged my waist tightly. Yay! Hubby, you're the best. With an armful of soft, warm girl, my body went rigid. Wasn't this plot moving a little too fast? I hadn't even figured out the situation, and I was already living the domestic life. The world is complex, but some laws remain constant, like lovers eventually finding their way to each other. After being forced to accept the reality of being married, my life felt like someone hit the fast-forward button, skipping straight to the happy wife, happy life chapter. Sophie moved in seamlessly. I silently gave up my master bedroom to her and moved my pillow to the guest room, beginning my terrified married life. Honestly, I felt guilty. Sure, I got a wife out of nowhere, but something fell off. So, I started probing for information. So, Sophie, I asked casually while eating the oatmeal she made, where are you from? What do you do? Sophie blinked her big eyes, smiling. Honey, you forgot again? I told you, I'm a local. I haven't graduated yet. I'm a senior at Columbia University, about to start my internship. Columbia? That's an Ivy League school. My heart sank. A campus queen from a top-tier university fell for an average corporate drone, like me, and dragged me into a flash marriage. If there wasn't a catch, I'd eat my shoe. I paused mid-spoonful. So, do your parents agree to this? Of course, Sophie said matter-of-factly. My folks love you. They said you're grounded and reliable, a man worth trusting. They even said when you have time, I should bring you home for dinner. Me? I felt cold sweat trickling down my back. The script was wrong. Logically, shouldn't her parents storm in, throw a check in my face, and tell me to stay away from their daughter? How could they love me? When did I ever meet her parents? The more I thought about it, the weirder it got. I decided to call my best friend and drinking buddy from that night, Zach Miller, to get the full story. While Sophie was washing dishes, I slipped onto the balcony and dialed Zach. Yo, Zach, it's Caleb. Whoa, Caleb, you're alive? I thought the business trip killed you, Zach drawled on the other end. Cut the crap. I need to ask you something. I lowered my voice like a thief. The night before I left, the company dinner, I blacked out. What happened? Give me the details. Silence on the other end for a few seconds. Dude, you really don't remember? Zach's tone turned strange. If I remembered, would I be asking you? Well, you're a legend, man, Zach said with admiration. That night, fueled by liquid courage, you confessed to the new intern, Sophie Vance, in front of the entire company. It was epic, earth-shattering stuff. My brain buzzed. The new intern? Sophie? I searched my memory and finally dug up a vague impression. There was someone like that. New to the company, incredibly pretty, the center of attention on day one. But I was so busy with the project handover I hadn't paid much attention. Confessed? And then I pressed. And then Sophie said yes. Zach's voice went up an octave. You lucky bastard. Do you know who Sophie Vance is? She's the Columbia campus queen and the precious daughter of our chairman. The line of guys chasing her stretches to the Hudson River. And you, the quiet guy, beat everyone to the punch. The chairman's precious daughter? I felt like a lightning bolt hit my skull. I didn't just flash marry. I flash married the heiress of the company chairman. This was more ridiculous than fiction. You grab her hand, talking about love at first sight, till death do us part, all that poetry. You move the girl to tears. She agreed on the spot. The next morning, you drag her to City Hall to get the license. What, getting cold feet now? Zach teased. I gripped the phone, speechless. I was done for. BBQ'd. I hadn't just offended our Ice Queen female CEO, Elena Vance. I'd kidnapped her sister, the chairman's daughter, into a marriage. If she found out, could I even survive in New York? I could already see myself fired and living in a cardboard box. I hung up and walked back to the living room like a zombie. Sophie had finished the dishes and was sitting on the sofa, swinging her white legs while watching TV and eating chips, looking carefree. Seeing me, she patted the spot next to her. "Hubby, come here. This show is hilarious." Looking at her innocent smile, I felt bitter. This wasn't a wife from heaven. This was a massive trouble magnet falling from the sky. No, I had to divorce her. Fast, before her terrifying CEO sister found out. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how I died. I took a deep breath, walked over, and put on my serious face. "Sophie, we need to talk." Seeing my expression, she stopped smiling and sat up straight. We should still get a divorce." It was hard to say. Sophie's eyes reddened instantly. "Why?" She bit her lip, on the verge of tears. "You promised we'd try living together. Why are you taking it back?" "It's not about taking it back," I explained stiffly. "We aren't a match. Your status is out of my league." "What status?" Sophie looked confused. "I'm just a normal college student." Still acting. I laughed coldly inside. "Sophie, stop pretending." "I know." I laid my cards on the table. "You're the daughter of our company's chairman, right?" Sophie froze. Her expression went from surprise to panic, and finally to a hint of grievance. I didn't mean to hide it from you," she whispered. "I was just afraid if you knew, you'd feel pressured." "I feel pressured right now." I raised my voice. "Sophie, what is your game? You're a wealthy heiress. You could have any guy. Why latch onto a regular guy like me? Is pranking me fun?" "I'm not." Sophie stood up anxious. "I really like you." "Like me?" It sounded like the biggest joke. "Like what? My poverty? My lack of connections?" "I like how hard you work. I like that even though you were drunk that night, the way you looked at me was so sincere." Tears streamed down her face again. "Caleb, why won't you believe me? I'm not playing you. I really want to build a life with you." Watching her cry, my heart softened again. But reason told me I couldn't be soft. This wasn't just about feelings. It was about my livelihood. "I'm sorry, Sophie." I steel my heart, turning away. "This marriage ends tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., at City Hall." I didn't give her a chance to argue. I turned and walked into the guest room, slamming the door. Leaning against the wood, I could hear her suppressed sobbing outside. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. "Caleb Hayes, you're a jerk." But I had no choice. The next morning, sporting massive dark circles under my eyes, I arrived at City Hall promptly. I hadn't slept all night. Sophie's crying face and her words, "I really want to build a life with you," kept replaying in my mind. Honestly, denying my attraction was a lie. A beautiful, innocent, wealthy heiress who was devoted to me? What man would refuse? But the reality gap was a chasm. I was a nobody. I just wanted a quiet life. I didn't want to get sucked into rich family drama or be a pawn in someone's game. Better a short pain than a long one. I waited at the entrance from 8:30 to 9:30. Sophie didn't show. I called her phone off. Texted, no reply. A bad feeling spread in my gut. Did she do something stupid? The more I thought, the more panicked I got. Forget the divorce. I hailed a cab and raced home. My heart was in my throat the whole way. I started imagining news headlines. Shocking. Young heiress leaps from luxury apartment over heartbreak. Young man regrets everything on his knees. It was my fault. I urged the driver to go faster. Finally back home, I opened the door with trembling hands. The living room was empty. "Sophie? Sophie!" I shouted. No answer. Master bedroom, empty. Guest room, empty. Kitchen, bathroom. I checked everywhere. She was gone, but her suitcase and clothes were still there. Just her person was missing. I collapsed onto the sofa, my mind a mess. Where'd she go? She's a student. Wait, she said she was local. Did she go home? The thought made me jump up. Yes, she must have gone home to complain to her CEO sister. I was doomed, completely doomed. I could practically see Elena Vance, the ice demon, leading a squad of bodyguards to break my legs and toss me into the Hudson. I shivered. No, I couldn't just wait to die. I had to take the initiative. I had to turn myself in before she filed the complaint. I didn't know where she lived, but I knew where her sister's office was. I changed clothes and sprinted to the CBD skyscraper where we worked. Our company, or rather, Elena Vance's company, was on the top floor. I made it to the executive suite unimpeded. The executive assistant, Liam, a sharp-looking guy with gold-rimmed glasses, looked up. "Caleb, aren't you on a business trip? Why are you back early?" Clearly, most people didn't know I was back. "Liam, I have an emergency. I need to see Ms. Vance." "Ms. Vance is in a meeting. If you have an issue, tell me," Liam said professionally. "No, I have to tell her personally. I was adamant. Liam frowned, weighing the situation. Just then, the office door opened. Elena Vance walked out, wearing a sharp black power suit, her aura suffocatingly powerful. She saw me, a flicker of surprise in her cold eyes. "Caleb Hayes? You're looking for me." Her voice matched her persona, cold enough to chip ice. I took a deep breath and went for broke. "Ms. Vance, I'm sorry." I bowed 90 degrees. "I'm garbage. I'm an animal. I did something terrible to your sister." I was rambling, but the point was made. The air froze. Assistant Liam's glasses nearly slid off his nose. He looked at me with a mix of "Bro, you have a death wish and respect." Elena's face darkened visibly. The temperature in the hallway seemed to drop 10 degrees. "What did you say?" Her voice now carried a lethal edge. I got a marriage license with your sister." I closed my eyes, looking like a martyr ready for execution. "But Ms. Vance, don't worry. I'm divorcing her immediately. I promise I'll stay far away from her and never appear in front of her again." I finished, waiting for the storm. But the expected slap or verbal lashing didn't come. Silence. Dead silence. I carefully opened one eye. Elena was staring at me blankly, her expression unreadable. Finally, she squeezed a sentence through her teeth. "I don't have a sister." "Huh." I was confused. "Are you mistaken?" Elena sounded impatient. "I'm warning you, Caleb. Don't think just because you came back early you can spout nonsense here. Now, get back to your desk." She turned on her heel and clicked away down the hall, leaving me and Liam standing there in the wind. Caleb." Liam patted my shoulder, sounding grave. "I know you want to climb the ladder, but using this method to troll Ms. Vance, isn't that a bit unwise?" "Me? I wasn't trolling. I was telling the truth. Why did she deny having a sister? Was it a rich family secret? Denying an illegitimate child to protect the family reputation?" My brain started playing soap opera scenarios again. No, if Sophie was an illegitimate child, she wouldn't have married nobody like me so easily. What the hell was going on? Filled with questions, I stumbled back home in a daze. As soon as I opened the door, I saw the silhouette I'd been searching for all morning. Sophie was wearing an apron, busy in the kitchen. The smell of food wafted over. Hearing the door, she looked back, eyes red and puffy from crying. You're back." Her voice was hoarse. Looking at her, I felt a wave of mixed emotions. "Where did you go?" "I looked for you all morning." I walked over, my tone involuntarily softening. I went home for a bit." Sophie looked down, whispering. "Home?" My chest tightened. "Did you tell your sister?" "I don't have a sister." Sophie looked up bewildered. "No sister." I was even more lost. Then Elena Vance. "The CEO. Isn't she your sister?" "Elena." Sophie thought for a moment, then realization dawned. "Oh, her. She's my aunt." "Aunt." I felt my worldview refreshing again. "Wait," Zach said she was the chairman's daughter. So I assumed Elena, the CEO, was her older sister. But Elena is the aunt. "So, you aren't the chairman's daughter?" "No." Sophie shook her head. "My parents are normal people, retired already. My aunt is the successful one in the family, so she looks out for me." "Me? So I play myself? The rich family drama, the secret feuds. All in my head? I just married the CEO's niece from a normal branch of the family?" This was a lot to process. I needed a minute. "Then, why didn't you tell me sooner?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You didn't ask," Sophie said innocently. "Plus, you were so scary yesterday, I didn't dare speak." Looking at her pitiful expression, my anger vanished instantly. It seemed I really had overreacted. "So, about the divorce." I tested the waters carefully. Sophie's eyes reddened again. "Do you still want to divorce me?" I fell silent. Honestly, knowing she wasn't a direct heiress to a billion-dollar empire, the massive weight on my chest vanished. Without the pressure of the dynasty, this sudden marriage didn't seem so objectionable, especially since the girl in front of me was beautiful, innocent, and could cook. Most importantly, she seemed genuinely into me. I opened my mouth, but the word divorce wouldn't come out. "Caleb." Sophie suddenly put down the spatula, walked up to me, gathered her courage, and looked up in my eyes. "I know this is sudden. You might not accept it right away. But can you give me, and yourself, a chance? Let's try dating for a while. If you still think we aren't a match, I won't cling to you." Her eyes were clear and determined. My heart, in that moment, completely wavered. Maybe I could really get a shot. Life is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Just like I never knew my life script had officially gone off the rails. Our trial marriage began in a weirdly harmonious atmosphere. Sophie seemed terrified I'd change my mind, so she treated me like a king. In the morning, while I was still dreaming, she made a nutritious breakfast. When I left for work, she fixed my tie and told me to be safe. When I got home, a hot meal and her sweet smile were waiting. She ironed my shirts perfectly. She organized my room. I started to hallucinate that I hadn't married a wife, but hired a magical housekeeper. Being taken care of like this was damn nice for a guy who'd been living the bachelor life for years. My quality of life skyrocketed. Breakfast went from street cart bagels to heart-shaped eggs and oatmeal. Dinner went from takeout to three-course home-cooked meals. Weekends went from rotting in bed to movies, parks, and picnics with Sophie. My world turned from black and white to technicolor. But what I couldn't handle was her unconditional support. Once I was scapegoated at work. A project failed. Not my fault, but my balding manager, Higgins, pinned it on me to save his own skin, yelling at me in front of the whole department. I came home fuming, face black as thunder. Sophie noticed immediately. "Honey, what's wrong? Who upset you?" I didn't speak, just threw myself onto the sofa. Sophie didn't press. She poured me water and sat quietly by my side. After a while, as if making a huge decision, she said, "Honey, how about we buy the company?" I nearly spit out my water. Cough, cough. "What?" I said. "Let's buy your company," Sophie said seriously. "That way, no one can bully you. You can fire whoever you want." I looked at her earnest face, half amused, half annoyed. "You think a corporation is a cabbage? You buy just like that?" I shook my head helplessly. "You're a student. Where would you get that kind of money?" "I don't have it, but my Aunt Elena does," Sophie said righteously. "If I ask her, she'll definitely help." My heart warmed. Even though it was childish talk, the sentiment dissipated half my anger. "All right, stop dreaming," I rubbed her hair. "I can handle my own problems." "Really?" She still looked worried. "Really?" I nodded, my mood inexplicably lifting. That moment, I realized how good it felt to have someone waiting for you, caring about you, ready to fight for you. And that was just the start. Sophie's flirting skills had me, a 26-year-old pure-hearted guy, blushing every day. She loved physical contact. Watching TV, she'd lean her head on my shoulder. Walking, she'd grab my hand. Most lethally, she was obsessed with my body. Due to work stress, I worked out religiously. I wasn't a bodybuilder, but I had a distinct six-pack and Viline Adonis belt. Before, I didn't think much of it. Now, it was Sophie's favorite toy. She found every excuse to take advantage of me. For instance, right after I showered, wrapped in a towel, she'd appear like a cat spotting a laser pointer, eyes glowing. "Honey, your abs are so pretty. Can I touch?" Without waiting for permission, her small hand would press against me, poking around like she was playing piano. A jolt would run through me, blood rushing south. Don't move around." My voice was hoarse. "Just one touch." She looked innocent, but her fingers traced my V-line dangerously low. I inhaled sharply, grabbing her wandering hand. "Sophie." I gritted my teeth. If she kept going, I'd embarrass myself. Seeing my flushed face, she giggled, looking like the cat that got the cream. Okay, I won't tease you." She pulled her hand back, but her eyes danced with amusement. I fled to my room, heart pounding out of my chest. This girl was a demon in angel's clothing. Every day, she tested the limits of my sanity. I kept telling myself we were just trying it out, that I shouldn't catch feelings. But shamefully, I realized I was enjoying it. I started anticipating how she'd tease me next. I was done for. I was totally compromised. The Caleb who wanted a divorce was long gone, soul snatched by the enchantress named Sophie. Just as I was drowning in Sophie's tenderness, nearly forgetting the word divorce, someone appeared to shatter the peace. Lydia Sterling. My ex. Well, would-be fiancé. It's a long story. Our families were old friends, and the elders tried to arrange a marriage when we were kids. Lydia was the perfect golden child, beautiful, smart, radiating an ice queen aura. I was the problem child compared to her. She got straight A's, I got detention. She looked down on me, thinking I wasn't good enough. I didn't care. I wasn't into icebergs anyway. She went abroad for years, and the engagement was forgotten. I didn't expect her to show up at my apartment the moment she returned. It was Saturday. Sophie and I were cuddling on the sofa, watching a movie and snacking. The doorbell rang. Annoyed at the interruption of my couple time, I opened the door and saw that familiar, cold face. Lydia Sterling wore a bespoke suit, perfect makeup, and looked at me with that same old, arrogant gaze. She frowned slightly. "Caleb, long time no see." Her voice was flat. I froze. "Lydia Sterling, why are you here?" She didn't answer, looking past me into the living room. Sophie poked her head out, curious. Eyes met. Ice versus fire. The atmosphere got weird. Lydia stared at Sophie for a few seconds, then back at me, with a look of scrutiny and disdain. "Who is she?" Lydia asked, sounding like she had the right to know. Before I could answer, Sophie hopped off the sofa, ran to my side, and hooked her arm through mine, marking her territory. "Hi, I'm Caleb's wife, Sophie." She tilted her head, flashing a standard, sweet smile at Lydia. Lydia's pupils contracted. Her icy mask cracked. "Why?" She repeated the word, incredulous. "Caleb, you got married?" I nodded stiffly. It was sudden, but Sophie was my wife. That was a fact. In front of my wife, I had to stand tall. Lydia's face turned ugly. She stared at me like I was an idiot. "Are you crazy? You married some random woman of unknown origin." Her tone dripped with contempt. That pissed me off. Unknown origin? My wife had a clean background and was a top student. "Lydia, watch your mouth," I said darkly. "Sophie is my lawfully wedded wife, not some random woman." Sophie looked up at Lydia like a protective little beast. Lydia was triggered by my attitude. She sneered. "Lawfully wedded? Caleb, don't forget, we have an engagement." "What is this? Adultery? Engagement?" I laughed in anger. "Miss Sterling, get a grip. That was a joke by the elders when we were kids. And in all these years, when did you ever look me in the eye? Talking about an engagement now? Isn't that pathetic?" Lydia was stumped. True, she never acknowledged it. I assumed she came back to cancel it officially. She probably didn't expect me to beat her to the punch. "I don't care." Lydia looked humiliated and angry. "The agreement between our families isn't something you can cancel unilaterally. You must divorce this woman." Her tone was domineering, like giving an order. I snapped. "Whether I divorce or not is none of your business." I fired back. "Lydia, I'm not your employee. You don't give the orders. Now get out. You aren't welcome here." "You." Lydia turned pale, her finger pointing at me, trembling. She'd probably never been disrespected like this. She was the princess everyone fawned over. "Fine. Good." Lydia took a deep breath, forcing calm. "Caleb, you will regret this." She glared at me, then at Sophie with jealousy and resentment, and stomped away in her high heels. I slammed the door and exhaled. Felt like I just fought a war. "Hubby, you were so cool." Sophie hugged my arm and kissed my cheek loudly. Her eyes sparkled with worship. I blushed. It was nothing. I pretended to be calm. Inside, I was ecstatic. Defending my wife against my ex-fiancé felt amazingly good. But after the high, worry set in. Knowing Lydia, she wouldn't let this slide. A war without smoke was just beginning. Time is the best author. It writes endings you never expect. I underestimated Lydia Sterling's influence. Or rather, the destructive power of a jealous woman. The next day, the office vibe was off. Colleagues looked at me strangely, pity, schadenfreude, disdain. I sat at my desk, and before the chair was warm, Manager Higgins called me in. "Caleb," Higgins said with a fake, "this hurts me more than you face. HR just sent a transfer notice. You are being moved to logistics." "What?" I froze. "Logistics? What?" "It's a decision from above." Higgins avoided eye contact. "Go report to logistics. I'll have someone handle your handover." My brain buzzed. From a core project manager to the unimportant logistics department. That was basically constructive dismissal. Anyone with a brain knew someone was sabotaging me. And that someone had to be Lydia. Her family held shares in our company. Less than the Van Cess, but enough to crush a small employee like me. I shook with rage. This woman was unreasonable. Just because I wouldn't get back with her, she used these dirty tactics. I walked out, running into coworkers I was usually cool with. They swarmed me. "Caleb, what happened? Did you offend Director Sterling?" "Yeah. I heard Lydia Sterling criticize you by name in the morning meeting, saying you're incompetent and have an attitude problem." "It's over, man." "Offending the Sterlings? How will you survive here?" Listening to them, my heart went cold. This was the corporate world. Cruel and real. Yesterday, you were the star. Today, you're the plague. I didn't have the energy to explain. I packed my box silently. My phone rang. "Sophie. Honey, what do you want for lunch? I'll bring it to you." Her cheerful voice soothed my anger instantly. "No need, Sophie." I try to sound normal. "I have something going on. I won't be around for lunch." "What happened?" She sensed it immediately. "You sound tired." "Nothing, just small work issues." I didn't want to worry her. "Are you being bullied?" Her tone turned serious. "Is it that woman from yesterday?" I stayed silent. "Wait there. I'm coming." She hung up. I panicked. What was she doing? Was she really going to ask her aunt to buy the company? I tried calling back, but she declined. Damn it, this was going to be a scene. Holding my box like a loser, I went down to the basement logistics department. The older ladies there looked at me with "another one bites the dust" expressions. This was the cold palace, where where employees went to die. I was given a corner desk next to a pile of junk. I just sat down when the supervisor, Hank, a greasy, overweight man, waddled over. He looked me up and down with sneering eyes. "You're Caleb?" he asked in a slimy tone. I nodded. "Kid, heard you offended Miss Sterling." He laughed, gloating. "Ballsy. But down here, you follow my rules. From now on, cleaning the warehouse is your job." He pointed to the dusty storage area, looking smug. My fist clenched. This was humiliation. A top-tier university grad, a project lead, now sweeping floors? Just as I was about to punch his oily face, the double doors banged open. A stunning figure appeared like a queen. Sophie. Behind her was the unsmiling Ice Queen CEO, her aunt, Elena Vance, and Liam, the assistant. The logistics team froze. Hank's smile died, his gut sucking in with fear. Sophie saw me in the corner with my box and the arrogant Hank. Her face went cold. "Hubby." She clicked over in her heels, snatched the box from me, and looked at me with heartbreak. "Who sent you down here? Who dares bully my husband?" Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried undeniable authority. Everyone stared at me. Hank's legs were shaking. He wasn't bright, but he knew status. A girl escorted by CEO Vance. Calling the janitor hubby, his brain broke. It was him. I pointed at Hank. Sophie's gaze shot daggers at him. Hank collapsed to his knees. Misunderstanding. Just a joke." He waved his hands frantically. "Joke." Elena's icy voice cut in. She walked over, her aura dropping the room temperature to freezing. She looked around the dingy basement, then at me, frowning deeply. "Liam, here. Find out who transferred Caleb to logistics. Also this supervisor." She glanced at Hank. "I don't think our company needs employees who like jokes like this." Hank turned pale and slumped to the floor. He was done. Elena turned to me. Her look was complex, making me feel guilty. "You," she pointed. "Come upstairs with me." In the CEO's office, the air was suffocating. Elena sat in her leather chair, fingers interlaced, staring at me silently. Sophie stood by her like a child who caused trouble, stealing glances at me. I stood in the middle, feeling like a criminal on trial. "Speak." Elena broke the silence. "What is going on?" Her voice was cold, but the distance was gone. I took a deep breath and told the whole story. From Lydia showing up, to the engagement threat, to the demotion. I tactfully omitted my initial desire to divorce Sophie. Didn't want to look like a jerk in front of the boss. Elena's face grew darker. Sophie listened, furious. "That's too much. How could she?" She puffed her cheeks. "Auntie, you have to get revenge for hubby." Elena ignored her, looking at me. "Lydia Sterling, daughter of the Sterling Group chairman." I nodded. "Humph." Elena smirked coldly. "The Sterlings, always bullies." Her eyes flashed with something. Disgust. "How do you want to handle this?" Elena threw the question back to me. I paused. What could I do? I was an ant compared to them. If Sophie hadn't brought the cavalry, I'd be sweeping floors. Before I could speak, Sophie jumped in. "Auntie, kick Lydia out. Make sure she never bothers him again." She hugged Elena's arm. Elena looked at her niece helplessly, a hint of affection in her eyes. First time I saw the Ice Queen melt. "This is your husband's business. He decides," Elena said. I got it. A test. She wanted to see if the man her niece picked was a wimp or a man. If I hid behind them, I was done. I looked up, meeting Elena's gaze. "Ms. Vance, this is personal between me and Lydia. I hope to resolve it my way." Sophie looked surprised. Elena looked intrigued. "You sure?" "I'm sure." I nodded firmly. A man protects his own woman. I'll settle my own scores. I felt pretty cool saying that. Sophie's eyes turned into hearts. Even Elena seemed to approve. She nodded. "Good." Then she turned to Liam. "Effective immediately. Appoint Caleb Hayes as the director of the new project development division, reporting directly to me. Also, suspend all cooperation with Sterling Group." "Me?" "Sophie." "Liam." "Wait, that wasn't the script. I said I'd handle it. Why did you just nuke their business deals? You call that letting me handle it?" "And, director, I skipped 3 ranks?" "Annie, you rock." Sophie cheered. Elena glanced at me, tone firm. "The man my niece chose won't be bullied. The director title gives you a platform. Whether you can succeed in this position and shut the mouths of those who look down on you depends on your own ability. Don't disappoint me, and don't disappoint Sophie." "Thank you, Ms. Vance." I bowed. "I won't let you down." "Amen." Elena nodded, waving us off. "Go. I have work." Walking out, I felt like I was dreaming. 1 hour, janitor. Next hour, director. "Hubby, you're a director now? So cool." Sophie clung to me. I looked at her beaming face. I knew this was all her. "It's all thanks to you," I said sincerely. "No, She shook her head. Andy said she noticed your work before. You have talent. Was that true? I felt a burst of pride. Come on, Director Hayes, Sophie winked. I'm treating you to a feast to celebrate. Deal. I smiled. With her by my side, the future didn't seem scary. Maybe this flash marriage was the best thing to ever happen to me. News of my promotion hit the company like a bomb. Everyone was floored. Rumors flew. I was a distant relative. I knew secrets. I was a boy toy. I just laughed. But the most shocked person had to be Lydia. She tried to bury me and accidentally launched my career. The slap in the face must have stung. I imagined her furious face and felt great. My first act, firing manager Higgins. Reason, poor leadership. He begged, blaming Lydia. I ignored him. Spineless people are liabilities. With Elena's backing, I aggressively reformed the department, landing several huge projects. My competence shut down the rumors. In the corporate world, results are king. My life with Sophie grew sweeter. We were like any honeymoon couple. She'd drag me to the gym to supervise, stare my abs. I'd cook late-night snacks while she studied. We had a wordless connection. I got used to her, used to waking up to her face, used to coming home to her light. I thought, maybe spending a lifetime like this isn't bad. One night, I came home late to a dark apartment. Quiet. My heart dropped. I was so used to her greeting that the silence felt wrong. I called. No answer. Just as I turned to leave and find her, the bedroom door cracked open. A faint light spilled out. I walked over and pushed it open. A scene I'd never forget. No overhead lights, just scented candles flickering, casting a romantic glow. Sophie lay on the bed in a black lace nightgown I'd never seen. Insanely sexy. It barely covered anything, showing off her long, pale legs. Her hair was loose, makeup perfect, lips red as fire. She sat up slowly, curling a finger at me. Hubby, you're home. Her voice was sultry, a hook catching my soul. My throat went dry. My blood boiled. I walked toward her like I was hypnotized. What are you doing? My voice was ragged. A surprise. She looked at me through half-lidded eyes. You've worked so hard. I want to reward you. She grabbed my tie and yanked. I stumbled, falling onto her. Softness and scent overwhelmed me. My brain shut down. Only instinct remained. Sophie. I leaned down toward those red lips. I kissed her, tentative at first, then like a wildfire. We tangled together, desperate. The room temperature skyrocketed. Just as I was about to go further, Sophie pushed me back. She was panting, cheeks flushed, eyes mischievous. Hubby. She licked her swollen lips, voice teasing. We haven't had a wedding yet. I froze. Then I laughed. I got it. The little vixen was reminding me. I owed her a title. A ceremony. Okay. I kissed her again, voice deep. I'll give you everything. The grandest wedding in the world. That night, we didn't cross the final line, but our hearts touched. Holding her in bed, we talked for hours. I told her about my resistance. She confessed that she'd had a crush on me since her first day as an intern. She liked my focus, my vibe. As for the drunken confession, it was a trap. She bribed Zach to get me wasted, set the stage for me to propose, and drag me to City Hall. Hearing the truth, I laughed until I cried. I fell into the little fox's trap from day one. Aren't you afraid I'd really divorce you? I pinch her nose. Nope. Sophie snuggled into my chest. I have confidence. I knew you'd fall in love with me. Confident, cute girl. What could I say? I could only kiss her again. Yeah, I fell for her. Her kindness, her cunning, everything. I decided to give her that perfect wedding. To let the world know, Sophie Vance is Caleb Hayes' wife. She is the treasure I am willing to guard with my life.